Welcome to What It's like America's Next Top Model, if by model you mean tranny. Let's get a preview of tonight's show from Timothy Walton in our legal department. Timothy, tell us what we have in store for tonight's show.
Thank you, Jim. Tonight, we look at whether sitting around can be dangerous to your health. Apparently, even if you do nothing, you will still die, just like everybody else. Animals die too, and if they manage to die in the right place, they can come back to your kitchen as a beer bottle. That's right. Would you pay extra for an ale wrapped in a real carcass? Also, those people that survive long enough to reach middle age can usually find that there is a brain surge. One old lady claims that studies by wise old men show that older people are smarter than younger people. And finally, transgender persons finally get an affirmative action quota in academia in India. That's tonight, Jim.
Hey, thanks, Timothy. We'll see you at the end of the show. Again, I'm sorry about giving your dog that rash. I'll take care of the vet bill. So, it's okay with your dog, okay, right? Thanks, Timothy.
Sounds good to me.
All right. They're packed, they're stacked, and they won't take smack. But enough about my abs. Let's meet our guest, shall we? Starting for the person to the farthest from me, he knows tea like I know pee, and I know it a lot. He's former Starbucks barista James Ilg. If making espresso was an elevator mine shaft, miners would go down on him. Sitting next to him, he's the CSI of ROI. He's web analytics guru Fred Koo. Don't let him look through your web browser cache at all. And his drawings are fierce, and his cross-checks are artistic. Or maybe I got that backward. I don't know. He's amateur artist and extremely minor league hockey player Bill Morgan. If toughness was a power play, defensemen would slam him into the boards constantly. Let's get to our first story, shall we? Does sitting on your can shorten your lifespan? Putting pressure on your gluteus maximus mean you'll be cancerous? If you spend more time on your back, are you more likely to get a heart attack? The American Cancer Society has a new study that finds that it's not how much physical activity you get, but how much time you spend sitting that can affect your risk of death. Even if you exercise regularly, if you spend a lot of time in the chair, life just won't seem fair. The study looked at survey data from 123,000 individuals who had no history of cancer, heart attack, stroke, emphysema, or other lung disease. They examined the amount of time spent sitting in physical activity in relation to mortality. That's death, people. They found that the more time spent sitting meant a higher risk of mortality, particularly for women. For further comment, we have our Latin American health correspondent, Manuel Lap Dance Lopez. Manny, what have you to say to this?
Bate, bate, bate com a bunda, bate com a bunda, bate com a bunda, bate, bate, bate com a bunda. Essa é a seguideira, dando uma surra de bunda. Quem quer tomar?
Oh, well, I guess Manny couldn't talk, and I think he died at he probably has cancer now. But that other woman that he is with is probably going to live to be a really long time. All right, James, what do you think of this study?
Well, let's see. A study that says that you're going to die in the end, I think, is probably a pretty valid study.
Yeah, I think I probably mischaracterized it. I think they mean you will die sooner.
Die sooner, yes. Well,
because we all die, right? Unless you're Jesus. Well, even he died, but he came back from the dead. But yeah, so what do you think?
Yeah. I don't know. All I know is I'm working on my death right now.
You're working on... Well, I think we're all working on our death since we're all sitting down. So basically the cancer and the heart attack is just coming for you, right?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right. Now, Fred, let me ask you. As technology has progressed, more and more of our work has become more of a sedentary thing. Fewer people are doing physical labor. More people are just sitting around behind a desk. How do you think we should adapt to this?
Well, maybe we should squat instead of sitting on the toilet all the time.
I like it.
I like it.
Yeah, worth a shot.
Do you spend a lot of time on the toilet, Fred?
Quite a bit.
Oh, really? Do you do your best work there? Or do you just get something out of your system?
I think he's doing his best work right now, Jim.
Oh, man.
Oh.
Is the janitorial staff still here? I think we're ready to clean up after the taping. But anyways, Fred, you seem a little mentally constipated. Let me move on to Bill here. Bill,
Yes.
you know who Lance Armstrong is, right?
I do.
Okay. Would you agree that he's a pretty awesome athlete?
I would. I would agree to that.
And he spends a lot of time sitting down. Wouldn't you agree?
I think he stands on the pedals.
Looks like he's got his butt on the seat. What do you think he would? What do you think his reaction would be to this?
You know, I don't honestly care.
You don't really care?
You know what I'm concerned about? I'll tell you what I'm concerned about.
What are you concerned
The rib joint I go to.
Really?
There's a man behind the counter. He must weigh 450.
Right.
He's got pork tattooed across his knuckles. He's got ribs across his knuckles. You walk in, you give him his order, but he's sitting on a stool. I don't think that's healthy.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm concerned.
Yeah. Well, most people would say again that that sitting down has a high correlation with not getting exercise, but the study did factor that into account, right?
Yeah, I exercise a lot when I'm sitting down. Sure. Who doesn't?
No, I don't know. Well, let's see, James. You're aware of NASCAR, right? You go to events all the time,
Oh,
right?
yeah, you never miss a one.
Okay, those guys are pretty good athletes. Even though all they're doing is driving the car, they get subject to lots of G-force, and they're exercising their muscles, turning the car in high G turns, right?
Yeah, if you say so. Yeah.
Right. Well, how do you think they'd react to it?
I don't know. I think they're on a little death cycle of their own.
They have their own shortened lifespan.
Yes.
Well, what of these? Let's say, how many people do we have? 123,000 individuals. How many of these people do you think were NASCAR racers?
Well, racers, probably about one of them.
Oh, okay.
NASCAR enthusiasts, probably probably all of them.
Really? You think so? I don't know how many NASCAR enthusiasts are members of the American Cancer Society, but we'll see. All right. So, Fred, you mentioned toilet seats. Do you think if we, instead of just all sitting, you mentioned toilet seats, do you really think sitting on a toilet seat instead of a regular chair at work would really address this problem if true? You're still constipated, aren't you? I'll move on to James. James, what do you think?
I think that given your Lance Armstrong analogy, didn't he have testicular cancer?
Well, doesn't that bring the point?
All right.
There
yeah,
you go.
So.
But your toilet seat's the opposite of a bicycle seat. Different parts of the butt are actually coming into contact, right, than a bicycle seat, right?
Yeah, again, if you say so.
Unless, of course, you're Fred and you squat. So that's very good. All right. Let's move on to issue number 2. It's a potable that's potent, stuffed in a rodent. Will the ale be bitter if packaged in a critter? A brewer in Scotland called Brewdog has a new ale, more potent than whiskey or vodka. The brew, called The End of History, has a 55% alcohol content by volume, which I believe is a little bit less than malt liquor. They've shipped about 12 bottles. Why so few? The bottles are placed inside dead animals, specifically 4 squirrels, 1 hare, and 7 stoats, which I believe is a type of beaver. I believe we have a picture of the product. Do we have a picture? There it is. It also costs about 500 pounds, which translates into about $226,000 US, based on my calculation that a dollar bill weighs about a gram. There are about 453 grams in a pound. Is that about right? Yeah, I know. Now, for all you animal rights activists out there, no animals were actually killed in the making of these bottles. According to Brewdog, the animals died of natural causes, which might be another reason why they've only bottled a dozen of these things. I believe we also have footage of a beer expert, Oscar Orangutan, sampling this fine product. Take a look. Take a lookers.
Oh my God.
I think we got the wrong footage. That's actually not beer expert Oscar Orangutan. I think that's Brewdog's new keg dispenser. They wrap it around a monkey or something like that. But anyways, let me ask you, James, you like to drink ale, right?
Yeah, ale, yes.
Would you pay $226,000 for an ale?
First of all, I think you may have flunked economics in school.
That
for
could
some
be.
reason.
I'm a lawyer, so it doesn't really matter. We all suck at economics, but.
Yeah.
But would you pay a lot of money for a beer?
Would I pay a lot of money for a beer?
Well,
it depends. Is there a really pretty woman serving me that beer?
I wouldn't know. Let's just in a vacuum. All else being equal, would you pay a lot? Would you? Seriously, I think about 500 pounds is about 750 US dollars. Would you
Something
pay
like that.
$750 for an ale?
I think not.
You really? Okay,
No.
too expensive for your taste? Bill, you eat condor egg omelets for breakfast every day, and you're in the Ferrari of the Month
Condor
Club.
egg white omelet. Omelet.
And you're a member of the Ferrari of the Month Club. How about you?
Well, at first I read this and I thought, I'm a little disgusted by the whole thing, but then I took a look at the photos that came with that article, and one of those animals is actually wearing a top hat.
Yeah, it's true.
And that, my friend, is classy.
Nothing says classy like a rodent wrapped around a beer bottle with a tiny hat on.
Exactly.
Is-
That's all I'm saying.
Well, since you roll around such high circles, I think we'll have to take that as pretty conclusory that this is pretty classy stuff,
must.
right? Hey, Fred, let me ask you. You drink ale and beer, right?
Yes, I do.
If you had this bottle or a bottle of this fine product, would you drink it straight out of the bottle or would you pour it in a glass?
I probably pour in the glass first, see how it tastes.
And then you drink it out of the bottle?
Once I'm really drunk.
Oh, okay. Well, you saw what the bottle looked like, right? So if you put it to your lips, would you put it so that you end up kissing the animal?
Hopefully not.
Okay. Well,
Well,
thankfully, Fred, none of those animals are rats. So I think you're good. Yeah, so let's see here. Okay. So James, let's see here. I want you to speculate for me. If you're at a bar and you see a woman and you really like her, and you bought her this drink and had it sent over to her, what reaction do you think you'd get?
I think she'd probably want to check it for fleas.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, let's see. If I wanted her to stand up and run out of the bar, I guess that would work.
Now, is that because of the beer you sent or just because of your looks?
Probably a bit of both. Maybe a little bit more of the latter than the former.
Okay. How about you, Bill?
I would think that if she drank the stuff, because I understand it's 110 proof.
55% alcohol, yes?
Yeah, I think I'd do really well if she drank it.
Oh, yeah, but do you think she'd drink it once you send it over to her?
Yeah, it depends on a woman. Some
All right.
women will drink anything.
Okay. Let's go on to issue 2, shall we? Does more gray hair mean more gray matter? With greater age, do you become more of a sage? Does slowing down mean your brain is growing up? The answer is yes, according to the book The Secret Life of the Grown-Up Brain. By science, writer Barbara Strouch, when it comes to the important stuff, our brains actually get better with age. New studies conclude that the brain hits its peak somewhere between our 40s and 60s rather than our 20s, which was previously thought. Also good news for the midlife crisis set, our brains continue to grow new cells well into middle age, unless you killed them with booze and drugs during your youth. Fred. All right, now, it's not all mental wine and roses. We are a bit slower doing math problems and our reaction time is a bit slower. However, we are better with complex tasks such as problem solving and language. Why is this? As we age, we learn to use both sides of our brain rather than just one side. Also, older brains are less susceptible to dopamine surges, which makes us less impulsive. Speaking of which, you know who's not impulsive? This guy.